What's up, weirdo? Tree Surgeon here, and it's time to fix the Shovelhead. Well, we'll go ahead and use the term fix rather loosely here. It's time to have a whole tank instead of half a tank. Does putting half a tank on it count as fixing it? Well, fixing something at least. Replacing something? Fixing something? I don't know. Doesn't matter. Sisyphus persists. I do not know if there's a motorcycle you can get dirtier working on than the Shovelhead. Oh, I guess we'll say my Shovelhead, for being accurate here. I don't know if a white shirt was the correct move. What a clown show. Damn, no shaky tanks anymore? Is it even Sisyphus? If the tanks aren't shaking like a dog crapping razor blades and they aren't duct taped on, is it even Shade Tree Surgeon Shovelhead? Josh, you've changed, they'll cry. You're different. I remember when you used to be cool. Now you're too fancy. YouTube has changed you. You got your, well, actually I never sent in for my silver play button, but I thought I was supposed to get a private helicopter at 100,000 subscribers. It just never happened. Still waiting on that one. I guess I'll go ahead and take non-duct taped on Shovelhead tanks as a sign that I've changed. I've really made it and sold out as a YouTuber. Hell yeah. The real question is there enough gas left in this thing for me to get up to the gas station after spilling half of it everywhere? Whoa, hey, what's that? A whole gas tank. Just who in the hell do I think I am? What's gonna be next? Reattaching the turn signal? This channel really has gone uphill, and I don't like it. Well, I'll tell you, I do like having 2 gas tanks back. Because believe it or not, I still got plans to do stuff with this Shovelhead. It actually runs fine. I feel like I could ride this thing anywhere. I mean, as long as it stays running, object in motion and all that. Shit, goddamn, boys. Looks like we're even gonna make it to the gas station. It goes, it stops, it idles. Literally, what more could you ask for from a motorcycle? If you're asking for anything more than that, you're just greedy. Don't get me wrong, I am a greedy bastard. I mean, that's why I need a motorcycle like this to keep me humble. And yeah, it's gotta be this bad. I have got that big of an ego. I am that horrible that this is how bad my bike needs to be just to keep me humble enough to fit my head in the door. I didn't make me this way, blame God. Let's give this new gas tank a little treat of ethanol free. Came off a Japanese bike. This came off a CB750. That probably explains the weird noise when I put the gas nozzle in. Right, we're slowly filling this guy up. Here's the thing with these tanks. I really should have filled up this one first. I still don't know the correct procedure to actually get these filled up correctly so this one doesn't spill everywhere. Shoot, boys. We even got electric start. The astute among you also notice a little bit much of an exhaust leak from old Sisyphus here. Because yes, I finally did put a time cert in the front exhaust. Now, there's still a little bit of an exhaust leak because I didn't have an exhaust gasket to put on there, but at least it's actually bolted in now. Can't be getting too fancy now, all right? Speaking of fancy, let's see what's up with the bass boat over there. All right, now that the shovel's running, let's talk a little bit more about this double cup of lean. Now, this might not look like anything special, a Triumph Thruxton. This actually just might be a Bonneville. It doesn't actually have rear sets on it, but Triumph Bonneville is not that crazy of a bike. They're all over the place, and especially these old 800cc oil and air-cooled ones. They're some of my favorites. I love this engine. They're indestructible. They're fun. They rev to the moon. And what makes this one special ain't just the dirty spray paint job. It's the fact that it's carbureted. The old 800cc Bonnies, they were only carbed for a few years till they went over to fuel injection, and the fuel injection just looked like carburetors. Now, if you prefer fuel injection, I get it, but there was something special about a carb that was actually a carb on these bikes, and even more special on this one, somebody's put flat slide carbs on this thing, and I haven't ridden it yet, but something tells me it's gonna rip, because putting flat slides on one of these versus the constant velocity carbs that they came with makes all the difference in the world. Let's see what this thing can do. All right, boys, let's go ahead and sip on that scissor. It sounds good. Do it go good? goes just fine, baby. I dig it. I tell you, the flat slide carbs, they just beat the pants off those old CV carbs, and to be totally honest with you, they beat the pants off of fuel injection too as far as throttle response goes. Now don't get me wrong, if you knew what you were doing, you could probably take a fuel injected system and then just make it respond as good as this, but as far as off the showroom floor, well, you can't get these off the showroom floor anymore, but back when you could, man, you ain't beating a properly tuned pair of flat slides with fuel injection. Definitely not for that power delivery, man. Definitely not. Now, as for me personally, I love a loud bike. The double cup of scissor might not be your thing, but this metal flake speaks to me. Dude, does this thing just have the flat slides? I think this has got more done to it. I gotta freaking put this side by side up next to Life of Winter Scrambler, because this definitely feels like it's got more work done to it than just a couple of carburetors. The first iteration of Triumphs, when they brought the modern classic bike, these bikes can make horsepower. They're perfectly capable of making over 100 horsepower with some modifications. Go check into what my man The Works is doing there on the other side of the pond with a lot of those companies that are making cams and different kind of stuff for these bikes. They really wake them up, man. These are good engines. I love them. There's even a whole bunch of guys who actually switched from the fuel injection to these flat slides. Now, the year of this bike, this was originally a carbureted bike, not a fuel injected bike, but still. Damn thing feels like it wants to pull the front wheel off the ground. I'm into it, baby. I could probably do without these Clubman bars, and in fact, I think I'm going to do something about that. But besides those things, I like bike. I don't know, maybe you like Clubmans. I've never been into the look. I always hate cafe racers. I think a lot of them can look really cool, but I just don't like Clubman bars. Kind of like moto bars work so much better. Now you can just take these Clubman bars and flip them the other way. If you guys remember my XS650, the Palmetto Bug. Dude, this thing rips! Anyway, as I was saying, the Palmetto Bug, my XS650, originally came with Clubman bars, and when I was doing the test and tune and the hardtail and just figuring out what I needed to do to the bike, I just flipped them over and it works just fine. It does look a little funky, but it works just fine. I have something better than that, though, and I'll keep the Clubman bars in case you, the viewer out there, likes them, because I'm not keeping this motorcycle. This bike could be one of y'all's bikes. Take it easy. Well, of course, I'm one to talk. I'm such a baby, dude. I'm so spoiled. Just literally like just a few miles on these Clubmans. My palms are already hurting. I'm not used to this. Well, might have to go ahead and come back to the handlebar thing. I thought I had handlebars. I mean, I wasn't wrong. I do have the handlebars. It's just one little thing I didn't notice beforehand. I thought they looked just a little off. When you line them up straight, they ain't. Oh well, I'm not gonna try to bend these back out. I got another set of bars coming in cheap that'll be here in a couple days. And of course, this video will be out before then, so you can tell me whether you actually want those bars on the bike or not, because after all, we are giving away this Triumph. We're pulling the ticket in exactly 1 week out of the pool of tickets that's already been bought for my personal Triumph Rocket 3 double Triumphs. So you got 1 week to grab a ticket for the old double cup here. This is a pretty cool bike. It might not be the Rocket 3, but I still really dig it. And it's got a couple of cool parts on it, besides just those flat slide carbs. Someone really loved this thing, man. Not only do we have a big solid aluminum fork brace up here, but somebody's put these really slick oil coolers on here. If you've ever seen the normal Triumph 800 oil cooler, they're just an ugly black box. These things are freaking cool. You're either gonna love or hate the polished aluminum number plates over here. I guess the same goes for the Tryptophobia sprocket and chain guards back here. Personally, I don't always love this look, but on these bikes, I dig the speed holes. Bates foot pegs, stain tune exhaust. This bike doesn't have a ton done to it, but what it does have done to it is not only name brand and expensive, but also mostly functional. Of
course, we do need a little bit of maintenance. Well, I might neglect, I guess neglect is an understatement. Well, I might abuse my own personal motorcycles. When we give them away, we try to at least make sure they're kind of nice. Here's a little trick that I use all the time when you get a crunchy brake lever. You know what I'm talking about. That kind of brake lever that if you try to pull it the wrong way when you're coming out on a gravel road, you get stuck right about here, and that goes from being stuck to popping into washing out the front end. All that's happening right here is the little cylinder that goes into the master cylinder. The part that's not inside it and inside the brake fluid is out here, and if I looked in there, I'd probably find a little dust cover on it totally deteriorated. Well, it just has got crud on it, and it's a little oxidized, and that makes it stick. And while you could take this apart, pull that cylinder out, and clean it, once they get like that, just a little squirt of chain lube in there. That's all it takes, and it feels like it's brand new. Can't feel any hesitation at all. Put one little more squirt in there, and that's all it needs. And I found that holds for, the longest I've ever had it hold for without getting sticky again is about 2 years. So yeah, I understand that you're supposed to take them apart and clean it properly, but when I can just squirt some chain lube in there every 2 years, my Goldwing, by the way, is the one that lasted 2 years with this, and I ride my Goldwing everywhere, and it never gets put inside of a garage. So if I can get 2 years out of a tiny squirt of chain lube, I'm probably not taking that apart. And speaking of chain lube, yikes, yeah, that was pretty dirty. Seems like we've also got a little bit of a nature's cruise control here. Much better. Okie dokie. This Triumph's gonna have to wait just a moment. There's something else demanding my attention. It is a video this time, so. I gotta talk because I talked about it in the video, so I gotta be like, this is what I was doing. Madam Hexa doesn't always come to town, so when she does, we make sure we stop working on motorcycles and start working on having a good time. And we're back. Awesome time out with Madam Hexa. Make sure you follow her on Instagram and tell her what's up. We miss her dearly, but she's having an awesome time back in her homeland of Germany. And we are back to the Triumph. Besides just a couple of little maintenance things I'm gonna do to this, there's nothing really wrong with this bike. It's ready to go. Everything works great. The one thing I am going to do though is something about these engine covers. As you can see, they're kind of oxidized, and when these things start going like this, they just make the whole bike look bad. It's like you can never get it clean. It's a real problem on motorcycles that otherwise are pretty good looking, and you know, this one has a few scuffs here and there, but regardless, this is a real eyesore, and it just makes a bike look bad when everything else is otherwise fine. Now, if you have chrome plated engine covers, there's nothing you can do about it. If you have powder coated ones, well, they wouldn't have oxidized like this. They could possibly fade, but this wouldn't have happened. This is clear coated aluminum, and that ends up being the issue with this type of finish versus everything else. Like back in the 60s and 70s, almost everything was chromed. It was much more common, and while a lot of stuff still has chrome covers now, a lot of metric stuff, when it's not powder coated a color, is done in aluminum with clear coat over it. Very common in the 80s, 90s, and 2000s. Certainly a lot cheaper to do than chrome, and the reason it's clear coated is so you don't have to polish it. Problem is, once the clear coat starts to go, there's nothing you can do about it. It just looks like crap. Now you have to polish it, but you can't polish the clear coat because it's coming off, and you can't polish the aluminum because it's got crappy clear coat all over it. So you actually have to strip the clear coat off of it. That's the weird thing about these covers that I guess probably most people know about that, but a lot of people still don't. And you might have a bike with something like this on the side, not know how to make them look nice again. So we're gonna make these look nice on the giveaway bike. And if you've got covers like this, you can make yours look nice too. I was gonna go ahead and give this thing an oil change anyway, but even if I wasn't, good idea to drain the oil before we start pulling these covers off. I mean, you pull the covers off, it's going to drain, but might as well get most of it out before you do that. A little less messy this way. The oil does not actually look that old. It looks pretty new. Makes me wish I'd used a clean pan. I could have just reused it. But whatever, at least we'll know what's in it after this. I'll go ahead and pop this shifter off and then get this side cover out of here.
Let's see if this Milwaukee has enough ass to get these things out without having to break them all loose. Something tells me probably not. These are the worst. I hate that I still use this all the time, and I hate that I spent money on this piece of crap tool. Apparently Milwaukees are not that bad. It's just that this particular model sucks. When it does come out, cool. Well, let's see if the battery stays in. What happens is you use this impact and neither battery fits in the impactor of the drill correctly. So if it impacts too much, it shakes it loose. You have to take it out and put it back in again. Yeah, like that. Okay. Yeah, this thing is a piece of crap. Oh, died again. It's just annoying because I own it and I don't want to have to replace it because it wasn't cheap. I thought I was treating myself by getting this nice freaking Milwaukee, and it is the bane of my fucking existence. Nope, there goes one. Now where did that one go? Into the fucking void. That looks like this thing is not gonna fight me coming off. Sometimes you gotta pull out the rubber mallet because there's, well, nope, not stuck on there bad at all. I would think that there's no oil on this side. There we go. Oh, it does have oil in it, damn it. So to get the clear coat off, we're going to use this aircraft paint remover. I don't know why it's called aircraft remover, but that's generally what it's called. This is really vile shit. You get it on your skin, it'll burn your skin. It actually physically hurts. If you get it on your camera lenses or your glasses, it will eat away the plastic. Like I said, it's just bad stuff. Really don't want to get it on anything that you are not completely comfortable completely stripping off. But it will get this clear coat off pretty well. I've used it with great success plenty of times before. Normally I would do this outside, but it's super windy out there, and I don't want this aircraft remover spraying all over me. So I'm going to do it in here. I'm just going to try to be really, really careful. And we're going to go ahead and apply this stuff liberally. It should work pretty fast and work pretty well because honestly this clear coat's already peeling off, so not going to be that hard to knock it the rest of the way off of there. And if it doesn't exactly get every little bit of it up, that's okay too. When we start sanding it and polishing it, that'll just take the rest of it up. And to get this stuff off, literally just water. That's all it takes. I'm going to try to make this as simple as possible because when I first learned how to polish things, it didn't seem very simple at all. I'm not saying this is the best way to do it. It certainly won't get you that absolutely perfect mirror finish, although it'll look pretty damn good. But this is the fastest, easiest way to get a pretty decent finish. And I'm using mainly these Scotch-Brite pads that are set up to go on an angle grinder and then finishing it off with Mother's Mag. I'll have Amazon links in the bio for all of these. Green is the roughest, red's in the middle, and then the black one is a finishing compound. Again, you can go way crazier, deeper than this if you want to, but I just wanted to put something together that was simple and easy to follow. These things do wear out pretty quick. Luckily, they're inexpensive. Well, I wouldn't say it was perfect, but around here, we don't let perfect get in the way of good enough, and it certainly looks a whole hell of a lot better than it did before. Doing this is actually pretty damn easy. Now, pretty damn easy doesn't mean it doesn't take time. It is pretty time consuming, and if you don't do it all the time, you could very easily spend an entire day stripping them, polishing them, and then reinstalling them. If you're pretty familiar with your bike and you're confident taking things on and off of it, you could probably do it
it in a few hours. I did end up using a little bit of Meguiar's buffing compound on these as well because I thought that gave me just a slightly better finish than just the mothers alone, but honestly, I probably didn't need to. You probably could have gotten exactly where I got with just mothers and those 3 different Scotch-Brite compounds. This isn't gonna give you a mirror show finish, but it is gonna give you a finish that's a whole hell of a lot better than some nasty, cruddy, disgusting looking, peeling yellow clear coat. It just looks terrible and it makes an otherwise really nice motorcycle look like absolute ass. So for me anyway, it's worth doing it. Now, in the spirit of times gone by, let's destroy all cafe racers and get rid of these clubman bars. California quiet. As usual, these fasteners are made of hot butter. We'll replace those. We'll see once we have the bars off, we can slide these off the side. We might be able to. Here's an example of aluminum that's not quite worth the effort yet. This is another clear coated piece of aluminum. It doesn't look bad. It doesn't look perfect, but it doesn't look bad. You can see here, this is where the clear coat is starting to crack and mess up. The problem with clear coated aluminum, you can't ever get it any better. Like how it looks the day you pick it up is the best it's ever gonna look. And I understand that they do it so you don't have to have the maintenance of polishing your aluminum, but it's just a war of attrition. And it looks good the day you get it, and it will never look better than that. All right, can I just slide these guys off? Awesome, that's easier. All right, let's make life a little more comfortable. There's a reason I always keep this grade 8 stuff around. That way I'm never putting this kind of crap back in a bike to be somebody else's problem. The script wasn't sticking on quite right over here, so just a little dab of gasket maker on the inside, and I'm just going to spin that on there and get a nice little coating on it. When it comes time to take it off, since I use that gasket maker, you just take it off with a razor blade. I guess if you win this bike and you're watching right now I'm letting you know. Take it off, split it with a razor blade, and then that gasket maker should peel right off. But until then, that gasket maker should keep this grip from coming off or spinning or doing anything weird. The fact that it looks better doesn't make it ride any better, that's for sure. But it makes it feel like it rides better, right? Right. Clean bikes go faster.
Now, not that I expect this thing to be that different with just a new set of handlebars and some lubed parts, but let's take her for a spin anyway. That is just so much nicer with these bars. I love it. I'm gonna save the Clubman bars. You saw how easy they came on and off. So if you win this bike and you really want the Clubman bars, I'll put them back on there for you. But for me, just this little slight rise, these little moto bars like this is so much better, so much more comfortable, and honestly, makes me feel like I have way more control over the motorcycle. These are such brilliant little bikes, man. Even in stock form, they're not slouches. They're not going to break any land speed world records like the Bonnevilles of the past, but they're not slouches. In fact, I would go ahead and say that I put them right up there with the Sportster. Now, they're completely different motorcycles that are both kind of accomplishing the same thing, but I say put them right up there with Sportsters in so much as they are pretty affordable. You can make them into whatever kind of bike you want to, especially the carbureted ones that have a lot less bull crap on them. Triumph made a bunch of them. They're stone cold reliable. Parts are plentiful. It is just an awesome platform to do whatever you want, or just to throw a few things on it to make the bike your own personal motorcycle and then just ride the wheels off of it. The Sportster really is the Swiss Army knife of motorcycles, and I don't know if this one is quite the Swiss Army knife of motorcycles. Oh, come on, baby. What are you running from? I could fix her, I promise. Yeah, not quite the Swiss Army knife of motorcycles. It's not quite as versatile as the Sportster, and that's just because the Sportster has so much aftermarket support. I mean, the scene around Sportsters is so huge that you don't have to make any of your own parts. Now, it is pretty damn big around these Bonnevilles as well, but if you really want to get into wild custom stuff, the Sportster has some wild parts that people are making that you can buy that are already made. And the Bonneville, if you really want want to get insane, if you really want to get crazy, you are going to have to know a little bit more than you will if you just have a Sportster. And for some people, that's a big bonus, because if you show up on a Bonneville and it's completely kitted out and has a bunch of really crazy parts on it, even though they are pretty damn plentiful, there's always going to be a few less of them in the parking lot than Sportsters, that's for sure. This is a good bike. I find myself really liking bike now that I'm on it. I've been wanting to add one of these Bonnevilles to the stable, like my own personal stable, for a really long time. And I'm not gonna lie to you, when I first found this thing on good old Facebook Marketplace, that's exactly what I intended to do. I was just gonna go ahead and get this thing and keep it, but the old double cup of dirty Sprite, it has a higher calling. Man, I really like this motorcycle. It's just this engine, man. This 800 air-cooled twin is so good. Triumph knocked it out of the park with this thing. Just such a fun engine to ride, man. They're capable of really, really good horsepower numbers, but even just bone-ass stock, just a fun engine to feel working. Well, say this feels like the perfect second bike. Like if you got a touring bike, or if you got a bike that's more relaxed, having this as your second bike, your bar hopper, your get out on the weekend and go shooting around and have a little fun bike, it's gonna kill it in that regard.
Glad we got the Dirty Sprite back up and running. Not that it ever wasn't running. And the reason that we're able to do that is because of our sponsors, which is me, as in the royal we, as in us, myself, Shay Lisi, Sugar Tree J from Sessions, Chloe Cox, Cami Bay, the Brapstar Beauties, and of course 300,000 of our closest friends and family, you guys. Thank you to all you guys out there who help keep this channel independent. Looking forward to seeing all of you and having a beer together at the campout. And yes, Brapstar is doing a pre-order for the campout. I always like to do a pre-order for the campout because we get to cut out all the shipping costs that get added onto orders. I hate putting that on there, but it is a necessary evil. But if you're coming to the campout, you can just pick up your shirt there. So if you go to the website on the stuff that we're going to have available for pre-order, I will add a pick up in person option, which will get rid of all the shipping fees. Just please only pick that option if you're actually going to be there. And of course, if you aren't coming to the campout, but you still want to grab one of these, they're available for pre-order and shipping just like everything else on the Brapstar site. We're bringing back a few old favorites in new ways this time. With all the Triumphs running around, I figured it was a good time to bring back the Devil Rides Triumph. And one of the most requested items we've ever had is the Devil Rides Triumph, but in black instead of the normal red and white raglan that we do it in. So the people have spoken. It's coming back on a plain black tee. You can order it in short sleeve, but Shay Lisi also knocked together a flamed long sleeve version that is pretty badass. Both of those available for pre-order on brapstar.com right now. The OG Shade Tree Surgeon logo is one that we haven't done in quite a while, so we'll be bringing that one back for pre-order as well. Honestly, I'm just going to order a bunch of them because it's one that I like to keep in stock, but if you want to make sure that you get one, it's going to be available to order as well. And another design that we haven't done in, oh man, like 5 years, the Bad Trip. This is absolutely one of my favorite Brapstar designs that we've ever done, and I hate that we've only ever done it one time on a shirt. We're bringing this one back in 2 different colorways, the green tie-dye and the hellish red. At first I was only going to do the green, but I found this red crystal wash shirt that just looks like it's straight from the depths of Hades. So we ended up taking the normal Bad Trip and doing a red colorway of that for that shirt. So the normal one will be available in green tie-dye, and we'll also have the red one up for pre-order. That, along with anything else you might want from the Brapstar website, just go ahead and add that to your cart. And if you're gonna come to the campout, if you're absolutely sure you're coming, make sure that you select pick up in person. And Saturday, the campout, we'll have everything out there and we'll have your orders bundled up to put in your grubby little hands. Huge thanks to you guys for keeping this channel independent. We couldn't do it without y'all. It feels very good to not have to sit here and shill Raid Shadow Legends and whatever pay to play freaking BetterHelp scam psychiatry and all this bull crap that everybody else has to push that we don't have to. to, because we have amazing people out there that we provide a product to and they enjoy it, or at least I hope everybody enjoys it. But regardless, keeps the channel independent. I'd much rather do it this way than any other way in the world. It means I don't have to watch what the hell I say at all. That's gonna about do it for this one, y'all. And until next time, keep it weird.
Crashing through the sky comes a fearful cry. Shade tree, army. Shade tree, army. Armies of the night, evil taking flight. Shade tree, army. Shade tree, army. Nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. Panic spreading far and wide. Can the world oppose the deadliest of foes? Shade tree, army. Shade tree, army. Who will risk it all to end the evil call of Shade tree, army. Shade tree, army. They never give up, they never say die, walking tall with banners high. Shade Tree Army, a ruthless gang of scum, villains, freaks, and bikers determined to rule the world.